Shalom, Apostle Hawk coming back at you with the truth, giving all praise to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shah Bashem, Rakak and I'm going to entitle this video, Concubine. What is it? Or concubine, what does it mean? Anyway, what I did was, there was a comment put up on a video that I did entitled Apostle Gabar, You Crazy? Laugh Out Loud. It's already received, I just put it up, it already received over 700 views. Basically, it's like clickbait. And this was a video that he put up addressing a comment that somebody had made concerning a woman, dealing with a woman. So I'm looking at the comments, laughing, and I come down to this comment. Shalom, this is from Cameron Wilson. Shalom, Apostle. So a concubine would be a chick you just have for sexual desires. So would that be the same as having a one-nighter with a girl and going to the next girl? Well, that one-nighter thing is played out. You can get a dreadful disease, a number of diseases from that. You just can't just get, nowadays, hell, back in the day, you just can't hop into bed and just have sex with a woman. And, you know, like I said, it brings diseases. So I wouldn't do that, man. Anyway, it goes on to say, so no, a one-night stand is not a concubine. A concubine is a woman. Well, I'll go into it. It says, or would I have to keep the same girl and not put her out to the streets, but use that same girl for sexual purposes? Then he said, or do you have video with more explanation? Well, I'm doing the video right now. Anyway, a GMS Sean Moth, he's the elder brother from Dallas, Texas, GMS, and he put a response to the comment. Anyway, it says a concubine is a wife through bondage, not just a sex slave. If we took down a nation, we would take, and I'm going to read the scripture on that in Deuteronomy, we would take their women after killing the men. Or you could get a concubine through a deal with her father. They performed the duties of a wife and helped forward the man's business house, but didn't get the same treatment as a free woman or woman. You actually have a ceremony, that marriage through agreement or contract. Right. A concubine is in a way of a wife, but she's of a lesser status than your actual wife. She could be a slave girl. You know, when they did that in Israel, you had Israelite men sold their daughters to other Israelite men for various amounts of money. So she was a woman of a lower status. Like, for example, Hagar was the handmaid of Sarah, and it was Sarah that said to Abraham, "Go and live with my handmaid." So she was a concubine. And when Abraham didn't have no problem with that, because that's another woman. But then Sarah, you know, having the nature of a woman, she got jealous of the fact that that woman was laying with her husband, even though she offered the woman up. You know, women, their nature is they don't like it when other women are dealing with their man, so to speak, which they're going off. Because in our kingdom, we're going to have many women. Some of you brothers are going to have as much as 1,000 women or more. I know I am. I'm going to have a whole lot of women. I'm going to have a whole lot of wives among Israelite women. I'm going to have a whole lot of concubines, meaning women of different nations that you just pop and you deal with. Like there's a word called harem, where you had, and that still goes on out there in the Middle East and certain parts of Africa, where they have women that are just there for the enjoyment of the man. Xerxes, from the movie 300, he was also known as Osiris. In the book of Esther, he had many women, and he was pleased by Esther, sexually. So in the kingdom, we're going to have that. Now, in this video, I said that you get a woman, you go on the web or whatever. I said, even if you got to get an Edomite woman, if you got an Edomite woman, now other camps are against this, but if you got an Edomite woman, and she's happy being with you, and she can help you, whatever the situation is, but you got to be cool about that, man. You be driving around in some Edomite town with an Edomite woman, you might get killed. So you got to be careful if you're dealing with something like that, Hey, I see Edomite women every day. I be talking to them, and hey, if the opportunity arises, man, she ain't got no man, hell, I'll deal with her. I'll deal with her. Because you can forget about that particular woman. You can forget about her. She's out of the business, bro. She's out of the door. Don't even think about her. She's nothing but trouble. Anyway, let's go to Google. Okay, Google, you put in concubine. In the scriptures, the word paramour also comes up. Anyway, it says, in polygamous societies, a woman who lives with a man but has lower status than his wife or wives. So the difference between, and it gives you the word mistress, paramour, kept woman, a doxy. I never heard of that. Let me click on that. What's a doxy? A doxy is a woman. Oh, it says a lover or mistress, a prostitute. Now, when you go to the scriptures, you had various Israelite men had mistresses, had doxies, and had prostitutes, man. Now, this is not accepted in this society. But men did that back then, and men do it today. When you read about Solomon having 1,000 women, 700 wives and 300 concubines, some of those wives were actually Edomites and women of the other nation because they were of higher status. Like you had Egyptian women that were the daughters of a pharaoh or of a man of higher ranking. So he had to actually marry that woman. He couldn't make her a concubine because she was of a particular status. So now I went into the word concubine itself, and concubine comes up 22 times and 21 verses in the New Testament. And I might read a couple of them. And it even tells you that you had concubines, you had children with your concubines. So what is a concubine? A paramour, that's another name for a concubine, a mistress, a prostitute, a woman of a lower status. It says here in Genesis 35, verse 22, and it came to pass when Israel, which is Jacob, dwelt in that land, that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard it, or Jacob heard it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. Now that was the firstborn son of Jacob, or Israel, which was Reuben. Ra'aban, see, it's a son. And he lost that status because he lay with his father's concubine. Because when you go into the history of Jacob, he had Leah and Rachel. They had their handmaids that he was having sex with, and some of the tribes came out of either of these women that were handmaidens or concubines to Jacob. Let me go to Judges 19, verse 1. And it came to pass in those days when there was no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levite sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah. So this is a woman that he got with, and he was just popping. And it was like it was his wife, but she was of a lower status. Okay, let me read this here. Judges 19, verse 24. I want to go up a couple of verses. This goes into that same story. I don't want to read the whole chapter. I'll start from 22. Now as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, these were Benjamites that had the devil on them, beset the house round about, and beat at the door, and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring forth the man that came into thine house, that we may know him. So when you read the story, these were Benjaminites. Some of the Benjaminites is into, having sex with men. And these are Israelites. Now, this guy that did the video, ex-sodomite, yeah, I was shy. He should take that name down. He was probably one of them guys. He basically said that he's into men. He's not into women. And it says these guys were sons of Belial. So you got the devil on you, man. Anytime you look at a man and you got feeling for a man, but you don't got feeling for a woman, and you a man, you got the devil on you, man. Okay, the word is Bal-Ya'il. It says worthlessness, work, good for nothing, unprofitable, base fellow, wicked, because he got the devil in him, ruin, destruction, construct, without benefit, profit, compared to be useful. And this is a guy, there's a law where it says if you have a stubborn son, let me go ahead and get this. If you have a stubborn son, that when he reaches the age of 12, he's supposed to go out on his own at the age of 12. That's why the Lord went out on his own at the age of 12. Bear with me for a minute. I don't have no lights in here. I gotta put the light on. Bear with me. I just want to get that scripture up and I want to read it. Okay, it says, Deuteronomy 21 verse 18. It says, and this is the law, if a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father, and this is when the son becomes of the age of accountability, or right before that time, when he's 11, 12 years old, you're supposed to be training your son, whatever craft that you're in, and I'm also training him up in the law. And part of the law, he's supposed to go out on his own. You know, get a wife, work for another Israelite for 7 years, and then after that 7-year period, that Israelite that's over him, which will be called a master, will give him enough substance so he can start his own business. So normally, you would have a boy that's about 12 years old. He moves out of his parents' house. He stays with his master, which could be another Israelite, for 7 years. So by the time he's 19 years old, he's established. Anyway, it says, if a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that when they have chastened him, will not hearken unto them, then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him and bring him out unto the elders of his city and unto the gate of his place. And they shall say unto the elders of the city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton. He want to eat all day, and a drunkard. Now in today's society, you might have a kid of a certain age that plays video games all day and eat up all your goddamn food. He ain't trying to get his life together. It says, and all the men of the city shall stone him with stones, that he die, so that thou put evil away from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. So that's a law right there. These guys got all messed up about the rape doctrine. Well, what about this? If you have a son that grows up to be about 12 years old, he don't want to get his life together, according to the law, you're supposed to go, the parents are supposed to go to the mother, the father and the mother go to the judges, and they'll say, well, all he want to do is sit around and eat all day. He don't want to do nothing. what's the penalty for that? That's a sin unto death. You put his ass to death. And you got a lot of so-called boys out here that are in that situation, man. I see it every day. Jake, these young men, they're 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, and they're like wild, they're wild beasts. They're wild beasts. And they're supposed to be put to death. That's according to the law. So that's what these guys were. These guys in, let me bring it back. Okay, I don't know if I lost it. Okay, there was a 22nd verse that said these men, or certain men are sons of Belial, beset the house. So these guys was just doing their own thing. These are grown men. They were bums. They didn't want to work. They didn't want to listen to their parents. And their parents refused to take them to the judges to be stoned to death. So this is what you have. You got men, I see this like every fucking day. You got men that are in their 30s and their 40s with their pants hanging off their ass, man. You know that nigga ain't about nothing. Somebody like that, supposed in this ancient world, would be put to death, man. So these Benjaminites that were stubborn boys whose parents didn't put them to death or get them stoned to death, they grew up to be stubborn, gluttonous, and they became homosexuals, man. It says, and I'll get back into the subject of concubine, but this kind of is a part of it. And the man, the master of the house, went out unto them and said unto them, Nay, my brother, nay, I pray you, do not so wickedly, seeing that this man is come into mine house, do not this folly. And this was the man that the priest that had the concubine. 24th verse, behold, here is my daughter, a maiden, being a virgin, and his concubine, them I will bring out now, and humble ye them. And the word humble is the word Ainah. Goes back to Deuteronomy 22nd chapter. See, you grow in these scriptures and you understand these scriptures when you go to the root words, the etymology of the word, the root of the word. Humble ye them. So he said, look, don't grab this man and rape him. If you want, you can rape my daughter and his concubine, and do with them what seemeth good unto you, but unto this man do not so vile a thing. So this particular man honored this man. When somebody is in your household, you protect that person while he's in your household, man. And you can read the rest of the story. You know, these, like I said, these guys were homosexuals, man. And over this situation with these demons, these demon-filled Israelites, this caused almost the whole tribe of Benjamin to be done away with. There was, what, 400 men left? All the women were destroyed, killed. All the children were destroyed. There were no babies. And the majority of the men were destroyed. There were only 400 men left. And they made vows not to have their daughters marry the Benjaminites. So they had to go to this dance in Shiloh. You know, you read this story, you get the whole thing. And what did they do? They grabbed those women up. They grabbed them by force. See, you guys get simple and dumb and ignorant because you really don't understand the scriptures and you're going by the mores or the morals of this society. You mixing the morals of this society, comparing it to the morals of the ancient world. Ancient world was totally different, man. Anyway, let's go back. Yeah, the word concubine comes up a bunch of times in the Judges. Or it speaks here in 1 Corinthians. I'm sorry, 1 Chronicles. Okay, it says here in 1 Chronicles 2 verse 46, and Ephah, Caleb's concubine, which that meant she was of another nation. If she was an Israelite, she would be his wife. Bear Haran and Moza and Gazez, and Haran begat Gazez. It says, goes on to say, Matcha. There's another concubine. Caleb's concubine bear Sheber and Anna. So that shows you right there that these brothers, these Israelites had women of other nations and which were concubines, that they actually, these women had gave birth to their children. Now when you go to Deuteronomy 21, let me get that. Deuteronomy, wait a minute. Deuteronomy 21. It says this, Deuteronomy 21 verse 10, when thou goest forth to war against the enemies, who are the enemies? The enemies are any nation outside of Israel, so we're talking about other nations. And Yahweh, the Most High, have delivered them, these other nations, into thine hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seest among the captives a beautiful woman, and hast a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife. And wife just means woman. She was of a lower status than, if this man had 3 Israelite wives, this wife from another nation would be considered a concubine, a paramour. Then thou shalt bring her home to thine house against her will, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails. And she shall put the remnant of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thine house, and bewail her father and mother a full month, and after that thou shalt go in unto her, have sex with her, whether she likes it or not. Now the law is, you can't touch her for 30 days, for a month, for a moon cycle, which is actually 29.5 days. And be her husband, and she shall be thy wife. So now when you go to Matter of fact, let me get to that. Let me get to that. Bear with me for a minute. Oh boy. Bear with me for a minute. Okay, I'm going to read the reference on the account of King Solomon. It says, but King Solomon loved many strange women. It says strange woman, meaning women of the other nations, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites, which are Canaanites, of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go in to them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely, but we just read, if you have a concubine in the kingdom, we're going to have concubines. We're going to have women of the other nations. But he wasn't supposed to marry them. And these women, these concubines, you don't fall in love with them. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. So what is the difference between a wife and a concubine? A status, because he said 700 wives, princesses, which they were of these Moabite women, these Egyptian, so-called Egyptian women. It says together with the first verse, together with the daughter of Pharaoh. So the daughter of Pharaoh at that time, she had a status of her father being a ruler. And the Moabite woman that he married, their fathers had a high status. Ammonite, Edomites. But he wasn't supposed to marry them. They were supposed to be concubines. And I just read, not a little earlier, that you had Israelite men had concubines, and they had children by way of their concubines. Two of the women that had children through Jacob, those were concubines, handmaids. It says that he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wife turned away his heart. Yeah, because he was, the Lord says, do not multiply to thyself wives, do not multiply to thyself horses. That's in Deuteronomy. I believe that's Deuteronomy, the 17th chapter. Anyway, I'm not going to go through it, but you can put it in the comment section. But anyway, the reason why the Lord said that, so when you go into the land and you set ye up a king, and that king's not supposed to multiply horses and not to multiply wives. Because what was that going to do? He was going to get into them women and get into them, whatchamacallit, the the goodies, so to speak. And that's why kings became corrupt and wicked, because they had high power seats and they had whatever they wanted. And even David, it said that that he was going to take out of you certain of your sons to fight in his wars, certain daughters to be make pastries for him, confectioners, cooks. And he did that. And what happens when you do that? You get complacent. You don't do the will of the Most High. And that's why we got to struggle even to this day. Anyway, I think I said enough. This is open to the comment board and open to other videos coming out of this, because these brothers don't understand. You got to understand everything, man. You got to understand that the way we're living now compared to the way we were living back then is a completely different world. If you were able to get into a time machine and go back to that time, you wouldn't be able to deal with it, man. You wouldn't be able to deal with it. It's totally different. The men were a lot tougher and stronger. And had stronger minds. You had to be a rough individual and a strong-minded individual to be in that time. We became weaker. Our stature became shorter. We're really not men. I mean, we're men, but we're not men like the ancient men. It's a totally different world, man. And the way they looked at their woman was a totally different way that we look at our woman, man. You get with a certain woman, you fall in love with the woman, and that's what Solomon did, but he did that when he became old. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom. On to the next one.
Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rukakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, the great millstone, who are teaching this truth and sincerity. And a shout out to Yakim that's out there in four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Braka the Yahweh, Braka the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rukakadash, Braka Tub. So, of course I want to make some corrections here. And this is just dealing with the subject of concubines and, of course, dealing with mixed races. Because, well, there's a table of nations. There's 18 nations completely. But you also have mixed races. I mean, in the essence of they are camouflage. Just like you got confusion of face Israelites, you got confusion of face Amalekites. So when I made the statement that you have Amalek mixed in with Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and, of course, Gomer, what that's simply dealing with is the Amalekites, the Khazarian Empire, who had split into there and then hid themselves as Muslims. In other words, they had guised themselves, because back then, they could only go in two different directions, and they do still have the sphere of influence within that. But I never said that the Arabs, quote-unquote, are the Amalekites. So, let's not get things mixed up. I know I might have sounded like that, but what I'm talking about is a sphere of influence, such as the Saudi royal family. We know that that's a puppet government. We know that that is controlled by Amalek, and that Amalek pulls the strings. So that's what I'm talking about. But also, you do have Amalekites that look directly like Muslims. And those would be your confusion of face Amalekites. But they look just like Muslims, because you know how this goes, and you still have that even within Palestine. Yeah, you got Amalekites mixed in with that too. That's what I'm saying, though, is that it's a mixed race. But I never said, quote-unquote, that Arabs or the Amalekites are Edomites, because to say that the Arabs are Edomites, well, this is what Esau does to hide himself, of course. Because me being the son of a concubine woman, because that's what my mom was, a concubine woman unto my dad, who never knew he was an Israelite, but that's neither here or there. Nonetheless, though, me being the son, having been raised as an Edomite, you know, been raised in the ways of the so-called white man, but yet something always differed in me, because really I had the seed of an Israelite all along. Fast forward to today, you know, but she even stated that, oh no, Edom are the Arabs. Well, there you go. It's something that the Edomites often do to hide who they are, or they'll say that those are the Japhites, which is an entirely different race completely, you know. The Edomites did wipe out the Japhites, as you know, about the history already of, you know, how what you now today call Samoans were pushed all the way into the islands, you know, especially Hawaii and other places, because, of course, they got driven out. They were driven out by the Edomites, the Romans, you know, who took on the entire Greek Empire. And so, nonetheless, though, Esau's never going to come out and admit that they're Edomites. But, you know, getting into mixed races and all that, you got a confusion of face Edomites that be in every country, too. Just like you got confusion of face Israelites that be in every country. You got confusion of face Moabites that be in different country. Yes, Moabite men get with, you could say the Edomite woman, or you could say, a lot of times, yes, it's true. They also get with the Israelite woman. That's just a fact. So there's confusion of faces everywhere, in every races, you know, if the Spirit bears witness, you know, because the only confusion of faces we should be concerned about are confusion of face Israelites. The rest of the world, fuck them all. But nonetheless, though, you know, when it comes to, you know, the powers that be, you know, our enemies, which is the entire world, which includes all races, because we're the most hated race, being the Israelites, you know. And, again, Arabs are not the Edomites, so I'm just going to let this brother teach. That way, it clears up any confusion about who the Arabs are. And again, Amalek is pretty much spread throughout this whole world, but they are the least of the flock of Esau Edom. And Amalekites are the most hated. Real easy to spot. They're fucking wines, so they're fucking bitches. You know, real easy to tell, and then just you can pick up who the Amalekite man is too, even amongst the Arab world. You'll know who they are. And like I said before, you know, Saddam Hussein was, in fact, among the puppets controlled. But like everything else, though, he was set up and brought down. Hitler was also an Amalekite, and he was set up and brought down too. He was a Rothschild. You know what they do. They change the surnames. So, just like Saddam Hussein, Hitler, one and the same, man. Pretty much, though, Amalek, the least of their flock, but look at how many do you need to rule a class or to rule a place. Amalek has been setting up governments for a long time and has a sphere of influence. Remember, Saddam Hussein was put into Iraq for one reason, to wage the war against Persia. Then he turned on them.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakach, Wadash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom, Labaquayim. That's to the elect. Shalom. And I want to do a response video off of this elder and brother, GMS Bible teacher, SE. His title is Esau is Caucasian devils, not Arab devils. I can't put all that in my title because they flag everything I put up pretty much. But I just wanted to do a quick response. I haven't even really got through the whole video. And you know, sometimes that spirit hits you, man. You know, there's always a new doctrine, man. Okay, and this doctrine is supposed to come from this guy, Divine Prospect. You know, he is supposed to be on a scholarly level where he claims that he goes into the books, the research and the history. And who provided him with all those books, man? The scripture's talking about the making of many books in Ecclesiastes, okay? There is no end. It become weary of the flesh. Studying, overly studying, man. Just to try to find something different. Then he said, give a round of applause for the elders and start clapping. You know what, man? You guys, it's always these new guys coming in that somehow believe that they're the ones bringing truth to the doctrine. And what it is that these guys, these people, they hate the truth, man. They hate so-called black people getting in order to the point that they don't want order. Okay? Esau tells him these things, he accepts it. But now the truth comes out, Esau used these guys to twist it even further. We see it, man. We see you agents and everything you're doing. Now the problem I have is the reason why we call Esau the Edomites, the so-called Caucasian race, is because it maps with the scriptures and history and the future and everything that's going on. They are the center of the circle of wickedness of everything that's happening on the planet. And somehow, you get these scoffers and these agents that are meant to infiltrate and change the whole dynamic of what we're trying to teach. This is what they do. Somehow, somebody has to save Esau. See, Esau done did everything. He done went around, and the brother brought it out. I remember, I listened to a lot of it. He brought it out there, the Desert Storm, the Vietnam War, all the wars, all the embassies, the 900 or 800, 700 embassies all over the globe. Job 9:24 says the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. And somehow, this has nothing to do with the so-called white race. This is now the Arabs. The Arabs is running the world. Get the hell out of here. Ain't no Arabs running the damn thing. That goddamn, what happened to Osama bin Laden, which was set up by the CIA? But what happened to him? What happened to Saddam Hussein? Okay? If they was running the world, then they wouldn't be being arrested and being captured by the U.S. military, man. Okay? What about the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers? You don't see them being captured for terror. First of all, the people who are in charge of terrorism and destroying the world are the ones that set themselves up not to commit a crime or not to be seen as committing criminal acts, man. If you ruled the world, you would put you would push the envelope that it's not you. You are a sane and righteous person. Meanwhile, everybody else is doing the destroying when it's ultimately you. This is unbelievable. The scriptures, let's go on that. Let's go to Obadiah 1 and 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, and thou art greatly despised, as the brother went into. Everybody look down on you goddamn Edomites, man. It says, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, though thou dwellest in the clefts of the rock. So, what does Caucasus mean? What does Caucasian mean? I don't know, man. This out of all the doctrines, this has got to be the worst one. Because somebody wants to be right, and somebody wants to point themselves ahead of Israel, as these wicked Negroes always do. They are willing to throw the fate of their oppressors and under the bus and keep their spirit alive, man. Because they love Esau. Esau pays them the money. This guy went to some seminary school or whatever and learned the Hebrew or whatever, how he learned it. So he trusts in Esau, man. And because he trusts in Esau, he doesn't want Esau to catch the hell. Well, look, man, the scripture says in Galatians, what a man reapeth, soweth, so shall he reap. You reap what you sow. So if that's the case, what is supposed to happen to the Caucasian race, man? What is supposed to happen to them? You want to put all the hell on Esau? I mean, all the hell on the Arabs? You want to give it all to them, which they're going to catch hell too, because remember, they was the ones that's helping with the slave trade as well. But it was Esau. And through history, it shows that. So show me the Arabs coming and snatching you so-called Negroes and the natives and lynching you and hanging you. And not only that, what happened to the Native Americans, man? You tell me that was the Arabs that did that? Get the hell out of here, man. So what should happen to them? Notice they put more energy on what the Arabs being Edomite than what should happen to the Caucasian race or these people that done what they done to our people, man. Sick. Okay? Dwellers in the cliffs of the rock whose habitation is high. Now, when you go downtown in any building, you'll see those big high rises made of rock, made of glass, which is a form of stone. Come on, man. Okay? Look at Rothschilds, man. It name translates to Rothschilds, man. Okay? Then let's go to another. Let me go to another scripture. Let's go to this scripture, 1 Samuel. This is what he pulled up to try to prove that Esau, wasn't. I didn't want to go into this direction, but hey, that's the spirit goes. That Esau couldn't have been the white man. Okay, it says, and he sent him going to David. Okay, he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy and with all of beautiful countenance and goodly to look at. And the Lord said, arise, anoint him, for this is he. Okay, so when it goes into being ruddy, and when you go into Song of Solomon, when he says something about white and ruddy, I believe the 5th chapter, that white represents purity. So you got two different kind of whites, okay, in the scriptures. When the scriptures speak of white, when you look at Miriam, who became leprous white as snow, that was not a good white. And then you have the white which represents purity, okay? This is how the English language is, man, okay? Then you have ruddy, okay, which is, and this was the divine prospect. He says, well, everybody know King David was a black man, but why did it say he was ruddy? Because you don't look at a so-called light-skinned person today, and you would still call him a so-called black man. When he put on the application, it doesn't say, oh, I'm light-skinned, or I'm dark-skinned. It's your nationality, but you would be a so-called black man, okay? You know, what the hell is these guys talking about? Anything to save Esau. There's two different strangers in the Bible, okay? There's strange foreigners as Israelites. Then you have strangers as heathens. You have two different Gentiles. You have Gentile Israelites, and then you have Gentile heathens, okay? It's just that simple. You should understand somewhat of how the English language works. But people use that and create and form their own doctrine instead of going into the text, understandably going into the text. And this guy, Divine Prospect, claimed he went into the text and he does it on a scholarly level. But yet, meanwhile, these people who running the earth is running the earth today. I don't know, man. Anything to save Esau. This is what they do, man. Okay. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest amongst the stars. So this is the Arabs. That's the Arabs too, right? See, all you need to do is create one crazy ass doctrine and sound deep, and thousands of people will follow you in that same crazy doctrine. That's all you got to do, man. I don't even want to give examples, man, because then somebody will try to listen to what I say and they'll make something up of their own. The damn planet Nibiru, that was some crazy doctrine somebody made up, and the guy that pushes it doesn't even show his face. They help him fix his car, they help him do all these things, but somehow he doesn't even show who the hell he is. And they sending him donations about going into some planet that's supposed to shoot fire on the earth and shit. Like this is Dune, some goddamn crazy movie, or Star Wars or something, man. These people are crazy, man. They just follow anything, any doctrine. That's why Paul said, stick to the doctrine that ye have been taught. Okay, there's a reason he said that. Because all these crazy doctrines arise out of that, man. So where the Arabs are setting their nests amongst the stars, where the Esau, the so-called white race, is that race that runs this earth, that is blessed with the sword, that can do anything on the left-hand side, that power and authority is given to him to destroy this damn planet, man. Not the Arabs, okay? Esau, according to the scriptures, would be the ones running this planet and would be the ones to bring hell on this planet, man. Okay? As a nation of people. Get the hell out of here, man. How are the things of Esau searched out? Okay? How is this things sought up? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. Okay? They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. So this is the Arabs. First of all, the Arabs are the ones, the so-called Arabs, which means mixture. These heathens, they tried to make peace, so-called, with the so-called white race. And you know what happened to them? They turned on them, man. Okay? Now you look at Palestine, okay? Well, the Palestinians. You know, when was his name? The Egyptian president said you left black and came back white. This so-called white race is the one that tricked everybody, man. Okay? That everybody tried to make some form of union with this devil, and he just goes and conquers. He doesn't stop, and he's still doing it today. And what makes me sick is after all the stuff that Esau is doing and has been doing and continuing to do, you got niggas like this that will step up here and say, "No, Esau not the white man." Why is not Esau not the white man? And if he ain't the white man, who the hell is he? And whoever he is, what is supposed to happen to him according to the scriptures? You mean that all the lynching and the hangings and the burnings and the Tulsa, Oklahoma, and everything we try to establish or try to do on this planet, this devil's created GMO foods? That's not the Arabs that did that. The inoculation and vaccines? That's not the Arabs that's doing that. The chemtrails? That's not the Arabs that's doing that. Man, the list go on. Going to starting wars, dropping the mother of all bombs on people? No, that's not the Arabs who's doing that. The scriptures say that this wicked race would rule the world, man. Okay? And will bring evil to the whole world. I don't see the Arabs doing that. In fact, those cells that are set up in that the so-called war on terror, Esau's the one setting that up. So sick. But another thing I noticed, these guys that all speak this Arab thing, okay, that all speak on that, you notice they never got any content. They're not out trying to prophesy against their enemies. They're doing nothing to prophesy against their enemies, man. Okay? Let's go on to Joel, the 3rd chapter. Let's go to the 9th. No, let me go to Obadiah 1 and 9. And thy mighty men of Oteman shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. Okay? For violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Okay, let me go on. Because this doesn't make any sense, man. Doesn't make any sense. Verse 16, 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. Okay, so if Esau, the Arabs, what the hell is going to happen to the white race that did more atrocities and created more hell on earth than any other nation on the planet? So what's supposed to happen to him? He gets a pass. He could cut children out of, cut innocent women's stomach open and take their children and make wagers, okay, and sell them and kill them by slaughter. He could cut off Native Americans' heads and kick them around like soccer balls, and nothing happens to him. He can't because, you know what? That's because you Negroes are trying to save Esau, man. Ain't no goddamn Edomite Arab, man. The hell out of here. Let's go to Joel, the 3rd chapter. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, Yashaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered amongst the nations and parted my land. Okay? And they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for a harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Okay, come on, man. Esau has nothing to do with this, though, right? We know the Arabs had their so-called hand in slavery, but Edomites have nothing to do with this. This is a case where condemn the Arabs, but let Esau go. This is sick, man. Through process of elimination, Esau is the so-called white race, the Caucasians, the cave dwellers, the Caucasus Mountains, whatever you want to call it. They're the red children. And mind you that his lineage, his seed is spread amongst people of color as well. Okay? But from the beginning, Esau was the progenitor of the Edomites. At the end of the day, okay? And something, according to the scriptures, they have to pay for what they've done. And what links them to what they have to do according to what they've done is the prophecies. And you people, you simpletons, okay, you're trying to stop the prophecy of what Esau, you're trying to hold back the prophecy of Esau getting what he deserves. Ultimately, what they're trying to do is link, since they know the Hebrew movement come about, they're using these puppets, these agents, to link our movement with the so-called Arabs. And it's not a movement, but link our nationality with the so-called Arabs so they can lump us up all into one terrorist organization and they can leave the so-called white race left out. This is another attempt for Esau to try to lump us up into another nationality to clear himself from the destruction he did. But at the end of the day, he has to pay for that. That's all I have on that. Shalom.
So, like I was saying before, though, you do have mixed races, even among Edomites, but their main sphere of influence is, of course, the UN, NATO, you know, the areas that he's conquered. But like everything else, though, those that aren't on board with him are going to be taken down, you know. And the main reason that Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and, of course, Gomer is because, of course, you do have, you know, the sphere of influence there. And how would you have that? People that are controlled, puppets that are controlled. You know, when's the last time you heard of a war against, you know, Saudi Arabia, you know, the allies attacking Saudi Arabia or them places, you know, United Arab Emirates or Qatar or Gomer. Although Gomer, what's interesting though is Gomer's playing both sides of it. So I guess they don't really have control over that, you know. And then of course you got Yemen that's constantly being bombed by Saudi Arabia. Well, who's behind that? Who's funding that? Amalek. And Amalek is the main one, the least of their flock, drawing them out into this war. So nonetheless, though, now into wars and rumors of wars. Meanwhile, back in Syria, terrorists attack towns in Hama countryside with rockets. As you can see there. Terrorist groups continued on Friday their breaches of the de-escalation zone agreement and attacked with rockets Mahadud, Jab, Ramia, and Al-Rusaf towns in Hama northern countryside. A police source told Syrian Arab news agency that the terrorist group's position in Latama and Kafar Zaita towns in Hama northern countryside targeted the citizens' houses in Mahan, Jab, Ramla, and Al Rasif towns, causing huge material damage to the properties. The reporter added that the army responded to the terrorist attacks through artillery, destroying the missile launch pads and inflicting losses upon the terrorist ranks. So that's what's going on there, some of it. So here's another article. Trump plans to sell $8 billion in arms to Saudi, underscores his lawless analysts. So let's take a look at that.
President Donald Trump bypassing the Congress to sell $8 billion in arms to Saudi Arabia is not surprising. Donald Trump is a lawless president. He has repeatedly bypassed Congress, completely ignores the constitutional separation of powers, ignoring committee oversight over the executive branch. This is Donald Trump's descent into his version of an all-powerful, unaccountable executive. Now, it's also Donald Trump's way of propping up the Saudi regime. The Saudis have gotten themselves into a tremendous quagmire in Yemen. They probably also face internal issues that they're unwilling to report. They're now gotten so desperate that they are arresting and executing children, and yet the United States is supposed to be the shining city on the hill that stands up for human rights. Yet we have Donald Trump, the president of the United States, arming and propping up a regime that is rounding up and executing children, including young Saudis who are destined to be students at U.S. universities. So this is not a surprise. It'll probably get worse before it gets better. This is Donald Trump's backing of the Israeli-Saudi axis of evil in the Middle East to carry out some rather demeaning hegemonic foreign policy objectives in hopes that between Israel and Saudi Arabia, those two bandit nations will do the United States' bidding, and Donald Trump will not have to commit any U.S. forces to the region.
Oh, and by the way, the Press TV is back on YouTube, so Slovakia for that. They were able to get a second channel, so the older one is no longer putting new videos up. They have a newer channel since then, but I still like to go to the source. I like to go to their site, you know, because we know that eventually they're going to shut this whole thing down. But nonetheless, though, another one. Yemeni children paying price of Saudi war. Again, they want you to believe that there's a war between Sunni and Shiite, because of course religion plays into this a bit, but we know who controls religion, the Roman Catholic Church, the false prophet. Nonetheless, though, what's going on, though, is that, of course, children are being targeted. And we know that Amalek is behind everything that goes on in the Middle East. but they don't want you talking anything about that. No, of course not. That's why, you don't get flashes to your phones about this war on Yemen, which is the worst out of it. I mean, the shit that's going on in Yemen really goes even further than Syria. So, just like Saddam Hussein, the puppet that they once controlled, Gomer, which I said was playing both sides, kind of like Saddam did until, Saddam finally, stopped the war against Persia. But check this one out. Iran, Turkey, presidents express opposition to sanctions, unilateralism. So, it looks like, just like with Saddam Hussein, who once did have an 8-year war with Iran, then decided that their bigger common enemy was, of course, Edom, and that's why Saddam Hussein was taken down. In fact, during that whole Desert Storm War, Iran knew who the enemy was and actually was on the side. But, of course they wouldn't send any military to help Saddam or anything like that, because actually Persia stays out of these wars, but the U.S. is trying to draw them into a war. President of Iran and Turkey have expressed their opposition to any kind of sanctions or unilateralism in international regions. So, in other words, Gomer is on the side of Persia here. Iran is keen to expand relations with Turkey in all fields, particularly in economic and trade sectors. Iranian President Rouhani said in a meeting with his Turkish counterpart Erdogan on the sidelines of the 5th summit of the Conference of Interaction and Confidence Building in Measures in Asia and Tajikistan, capital of Dushanbe, on Saturday. Iran and Turkey have taken valuable steps to expand and deepen relations in recent years, and this trend should be accelerated in proportion to enormous capacities and opportunities, the Iranian president said. So, I mean, pretty much, though, you can see, though, that they are meeting with each other without the United States. Iran and Turkey have agreed to step up their economic cooperation with the aim of reaching a $30 billion target set for their annual trade, voicing concern over the reimposition of the U.S. of unilateral sanctions against the Islamic Republic, a move which they say could affect the entire region's economy. The Iranian president also hailed effective, successful, and important cooperation between Tehran and Ankara on regional issues and said bilateral and trilateral cooperation, including with Russia on regional issues, the Astana peace process, the fight against terrorism, and Syria's stability are important and in line with promoting peace and stability in the region. At the end of the first day of the 12th round of Astana talks on April 25, Russia's president, Special Envoy for Syria, Alexander Ladradov, said Iran, Russia, and Turkey, the three guarantor states of a ceasefire regime in Syria, are clearly determined to continue their fight against terrorism in the Arab country, which I told you that Gomer plays both sides, because Jabhat al-Nusra is, in fact, terrorist groups. But nonetheless, though, you can see, though, that their once ally that they could control through the Free Syrian Army, which is the terrorists coming in through Gomer, which they have their side of it now, because the U.S. is no longer with that, so they have the newer plan with the Syrian Democratic Forces. So, pretty much between Gomer and U.S., they're breaking off, and they have newer terrorist groups, better known as Syrian Democratic Forces. See, all these guys do is they change their outfits. Okay, now you're ISIS, so we're going to shoot at you a little bit. We won't kill you all, but we got to put this on. We got to put on this facade that we're fighting against ISIS, which that the U.S. occupation of Syria has nothing to do with fighting ISIS. The same thing with Iraq. So, this is what these terrorist groups are doing in Syria right now, is burning the agricultural lands, because, of course, they want to bring in GMOs to Syria, under the areas of the Syrian Democratic Forces. They are purposely burning down the crops, similar to the Car Fire. These same bastards, because we know it's Esau Edom that's doing this. And so they're purposely destroying wheat, they're destroying crops, because Syria does not have GMOs, but now the Syrian Democratic Forces and, of course, these other areas, man, they plan to burn Syria, just like they had a plan to burn Northern California and the rest of California, to burn the agricultural areas so they can bring in more GMOs. But, of course, like everything else, the reason why they're trying to shut down this YouTube thing, because, of course, it's exposing their New World Order agenda.
وهو أمر لم يلقى ردا من الإدارة الذاتية حتى الآن ليبقى الفلاحون يحصدون النار بدل القمح بعد تعب عام.
That's why I took down Syria News in English more so than anything else. You only find stuff to Sputnik and some RT. And you have South Front, then which I haven't seen him in a while, doesn't mean he doesn't exist. You know how it is when you get flooded with alerts, you may not catch all of them. You have another guy that's in Germany who has a channel called Syriana Analysis, but you don't have very much Syrian news in English, though, because, of course, they don't want you to know anything about this.
بهذه الطريقة اختار هذا المقاتل الرد على مزاعم النظام السيطرة على بلدة تلملح
pretty much they are balkanizing, destroying Syria because they have a plan pretty much, and it's been there. X-22 report had talked about it, how they plan to carve up Syria, have all these different areas.
فضلا عن تدمير آليات عسكرية لها واكتساب أخرى. الأمر الذي يرفع عدد خسائر الميليشيات وحلفائها إلى أكثر من 1000 قتيل وجريح منذ بدء الحملة العسكرية على المنطقة منذ نحو شهرين. ليس بعيدا عن تلك الاشتباكات، قصفت الفصائل مواقع الميليشيات الطائفية في محور القصابية، مضيفة أن القصف أوقع قتلى لتلك الميليشيات ودمر بعض تحصيناتها وآلياتها التي كانت تستهدف للتو تجمعات المدنيين في الريف المحرر. محاولات تسلل تلك تتزامن مع قصف جوي مستمر على مناطق الاشتباكات، وذاك مرده حسب قادة الميدانيين لاختراق الخط الدفاعي الذي أنشأته الفصائل بين محردة وسقيلبية. تطورات عسكرية أربكت حسابات الاحتلال الروسي ودفعته لإعلان هدنة مزعومة تبعتها مزاعم أخرى قالت فيها موسكو إن أنقرة زودتها بإحداثيات من تصفهم بالإرهابيين، وهو ما نفته تركيا جملة وتفصيلا.
Wars, rumors of wars, and you know this thing's going to escalate because you already know that, of course, the U.S. has already said, though, that, they deny Iran's denial of having anything to do with the Sea of Oman incident or the other thing earlier. So, of course, they plan to escalate.
Iranian President Hassan Rouhani has once again condemned as illegal U.S. unilateral withdrawal from the 2015 nuclear agreement. Rouhani said the U.S. is seeking to slap sanctions on those countries and companies which want to comply with UN Security Council Resolution 2231. Iranian president also noted Washington's policy of intervention has endangered stability in the Middle East. Rouhani made the remarks during a meeting with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in the Kyrgyz capital Bishkek. Two presidents also stressed the need for the expansion of bilateral ties between Iran and Russia. Rouhani left Kyrgyzstan for Tajikistan to participate in the 5th summit of the Conference on Interaction and Confidence-Building Measures in Asia. The Russian president has warned a U.S. withdrawal from the 2015 Iran nuclear deal has further destabilized the Middle East. Vladimir Putin says Moscow is seriously concerned about the situation.
We are concerned about the situation around Iran's nuclear program. The fact that the United States of America has left the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. And I remind you, it was approved by the UN Security Council in 2015, is not only destabilizing the situation in the region, but also could undermine the non-proliferation regime.
Putin made the remarks in an address to the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit in Bishkek. Tensions have been on the rise in the Middle East since the U.S. pulled out of the nuclear accord in May 2018 and then reimposed anti-Tehran sanctions. U.S. deployment of an aircraft carrier strike group to the region has further heightened tensions. Last month, Iran officially halted some of its commitments under the nuclear deal in face of U.S. sanctions.
So now you got the rhetoric building up that Iran's the bad guy, you know, because, oh no, they're against the Zionist entity, which they like to call Israel. They love to use our name because we are Yasha Allah. We are Israel, but they like to use that name, which, you know, code word for Israel, when you're dealing with the world news, means Amalek. So anyhow, what's going on now is that now they're building up. They're provocating this war. I don't think they're going to attack Iran just yet, but they're just going to keep on doing this shit. You're going to keep on hearing more and more rhetoric build up until they finally do. So you know what's around the corner. Jacob's trouble, famine of the word, which is before Jacob's trouble. And then, of course, you're going to have the mark of the beast, because that's part of Jacob's trouble. And that's the end all right there. And then this war will finally happen. You know, and you can see, though, that looking at this timeline and all that, that's in the next year or so, man. You know, whether he gets into a second term or not is neither here or there. I don't give two shits about the goddamn U.S. elections. That's all fucking dog and pony show anyways. It's just right now he's wearing the Ronald McDonald suit because we know that Amalek runs that program. Nonetheless, though, things are continuing to escalate. Wars and rumors of wars.
The incident in the Gulf of Oman, which involved 2 oil tankers, has raised more questions than answers. The United States and Saudi Arabia have been quick to point the finger at Iran, just like the last time when this happened. And this increases the temperature to boiling point between the U.S. and Iran, raising the possibility of war.
And it will be a war.
Two oil tankers, one owned by Norway and the other by Japan, were struck by blast in the Sea of Oman this week. The incident has turned into the latest episode of tensions between the United States and Iran. The U.S. was quick to point the finger of blame at the Islamic Republic, 1 month after it accused Tehran of involvement in attacks that crippled 4 tankers off the coast of the United Arab Emirates. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Friday that Iran was behind Thursday's blast, without providing evidence to back up his claim. The accusations
just
came
like they
soon
do
after
with
the
Syria.
U.S. military released video footage it claims shows Iranian sailors removing an unexploded mine from one of the targeted ships. The U.S. military claims the Iranian forces were trying to recover evidence of their involvement. But since its release, the video has raised more questions than answers. The footage is not clear enough to verify anything, and the U.S. has failed to clarify how it got the idea that the purported mine was planted by the Iranians in the first place. The U.S. allegations have been vehemently dismissed by Iran and widely challenged around the world. The Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif says America is making allegations against Iran without a shred of factual or circumstantial evidence. The owner of the Japanese tanker that came under attack in the Sea of Oman has contradicted the account presented by the Pentagon. Even most U.S. allies are looking at what the U.S. has presented as evidence with deep suspicion. The German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas warned that the video is not sufficient to prove the U.S. claim against Iran. Well, was Iran behind the Oman tanker attacks, if they can be called that? An investigation should first be conducted before this can be called an attack in the first place. Then comes the video allegedly showing the IRGC guards removing an unexploded mine. But what can actually be seen in the video? While the object on the side of the container is described as a mine, the images presented aren't clear enough to actually verify that. Yet the U.S. and some of its allies, like Saudi Arabia and the UK, have been quick to point the finger of blame at Iran. Nothing presented as evidence proves that the object was placed there by the Iranians. One thing is for sure, as the New York Times stated, this is not the slam dunk evidence that some would like to claim it is. There has been considerable cynicism around the world about America's latest anti-Iran allegations. In the wake of Thursday's attacks, a large number of Twitter users trended the term Gulf of Tonkin alongside the Gulf of Oman. The Gulf of Tonkin incident was a false flag operation in 1964, used by former U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson to pave the way for a bigger American military involvement in Vietnam. The United Nations has called for an independent probe into the incident in the Sea of Oman. But why is the U.S. not waiting for an investigation and keeps up its anti-Iran campaign like this?
It is the assessment of...
The short-term reason is that the U.S. would like to pressure Iran to go back to negotiations over the JCPOA. And they'd like to put Iran's entire missile defense system on the table, an issue that was not on the table under the JCPOA.
The hasty U.S. claims have fueled fears that America could be pushing for another war in the volatile region. Back in April, the Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif warned that an accident could be plotted to trigger a crisis in the Middle East. Zarif said the so-called B team, including the U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman could push Trump into a new conflict. Many observers believe that Iran has nothing to gain from launching attacks against oil tankers.
Iran has no interest in war. Iran has nothing to gain with having a war with the United States or its main client states in the region, Israel and Saudi Arabia.
Why is the U.S. refusing to consider other possibilities? Are the latest developments in the region part of a wider scenario against the Islamic Republic?
So, this is a little bit of history, as we know, though, that Jeremiah chapter 49 goes into quite a lot of things that, we already know it deals with what's coming to Esau, Edom, and, of course, to Syria, but at the very end of the chapter, it talks about some history here as well as what will happen in the latter days. So, I'm just going to read starting in verse 34. The word of the Most High came to Jeremiah the prophet against Elam in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Yehudah, saying, Thus saith the Most High of hosts, Behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. And we know that Elam is pretty much a larger scale. It's not just the Persians, which is primarily Iran nowadays, but is also India and all those areas, those other countries that were underneath, Pakistan, Afghanistan areas, are pretty much the Elamites. And upon Elam will I bring the four winds from the four quarters of heaven, and will scatter them towards all those winds. And there shall be no nation whither the outcasts of Elam shall not come. So again, that's, just like I named some of them places, they're outcasts, And you got some of them, of course, in Yemen and, of course, in Lebanon. And, so they're spread out there. They are, what you would call a, dispersed, race, because of the fact that, there was a judgment against them back then, but, this is where it gets interesting, though. For I will cause Elam to be dismayed before their enemies, and before them that seek their life, and I will bring evil upon them, even my fierce anger, saith the Most High. And I will send the sword after them till I have consumed them. So that Elam is not as big as it used to be. They're kind of broken off and all that. But nonetheless, though, as he did then, check out these last couple verses. And I will set my throne in Elam, which is when, as well as I do, that we're going to rule the whole world. And will destroy thence the king and the princes, saith the Most High. And this is the main verse here. But it shall come to pass in the latter days that I will bring again the captivity of Elam, saith the Most High. So what's that talking about? Well, we know that the U.S. and its allies are going to lose in this war because Magog, being a guard down unto them, they're not going to be bringing down Elam. We are. We, with Yahweh Shai and the angels, because it says, I will bring again the captivity of Elam. So, no, it's not going to be Amalek. It's not going to be any of them others that are against Elam now. No, this is talking about when we come back to rule. This is the very tail end of this, because you can see it's the Most High that's bringing in all these nations into the Valley of Yahushua to plead the cause, you know, for what they've done to us. Everyone that was partakers in Psalm 83 are getting jacked up now, especially Syria, which is our brother, you know, as well as all the other nations, especially Ishmael, Elam, Moab. They're all being drawn into this war. Ammon, you know, pretty much, man, they're all getting jacked up by the sword, which is Esau, Edom. But it has a conclusion. So I hope all these videos have been edifying, and, you know, like everything else, though, you know, I'm going to go switch to another camp video that I found, and hope these have been edifying, and like everything else, though, save this to your computer, to your hard drive, because I don't know how much longer these videos will be on there, and, you know, this is just good food to keep. For that, I want to say Barakah Yahweh, Barakah Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Brakatum. Death to America, and death to you 2/3. I think that everybody knows that this GMS Ancient of Days, a.k.a. the LA camp, which is, you have 3 or 4 of them, man. This is a very large gathering of people, man, because, of course, we're going into that city. And, you know, pretty much, though, soon things are about to be a wrap, so I'm just going to let them take it.
Didn't want to make an example out of her. Because what was the example of a woman who played the harlot in her father's house? She was stoned to death and burned. So that's why Joseph said he didn't want to make a public example out of her, because he knew he had already did what he was supposed to do with her.
Pretty much he jumped the gun.
He jumped the gun before they had the festival.
That was so.
He had already sexed her.
Yeah.
You know? That's all it is, man. See, our people are destroyed here, man. That's why the Lord said in Isaiah, make their ears fat. Right. Feed them all that bullshit, so when they hear the truth, it ain't gonna penetrate to their ass, man. Because the Lord don't want everybody to get it, man.
Right. Yeah, that's a stumbling block.
It's a stumbling block too. You can't see it. Name one person on the planet Earth who was born without a mother and a father.
Thank you. And we just read that in Romans 1 and 3. Right?
No, the Lord wasn't. The Lord came. Give me that in Peter's. Give me that in the book of Peter. Give me Peter's, who was made like unto the sinful flesh. The only way you can be made like unto sinful flesh is if 2 carnal people, okay, a man and a woman, come together and have sex, and there's a child born.
Right.
If the Lord was made of an angel, he wouldn't have sinful flesh.
Right. Exactly.
That means he wouldn't. See, now he agreeing exactly.
Wisdom of Solomon 7th chapter. Could that? Read that shit. That's what I'm saying. And when you said made his ears fat,
yeah, his ears is fat, man.
Yeah, we just read
He
it.
can't hear. It's not penetrating, man. The Lord don't want him to get it.
You want the point?
The Lord don't want him to get it. Yeah, give me that. This is Romans 8 and 3. It's the book of Romans 8 and 3, and it says, for what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, the Most High sending his own Son, right, in the likeness of sinful flesh. So he was made just like our flesh. Right. He had the infirmities like we get. Right. You know? He had to go to the bathroom. He had to eat. All right? Come on, man. Our people believe in fairy tales, man. Because if he came, if that was the case, that means we wouldn't be able to measure up.
That's what God says.
It wouldn't. His sacrifice wouldn't have been the same. That's why he came down the way we came, the way every man come into the world, so he can condemn sin in the flesh. That's right. You know. That's right. It says, and for sin condemned sin in the flesh.
brothers. It's like the Lord just using that guy. Yeah. All the information coming out.
He can't keep up.
Yeah, he can't.
He out here drowning, man. He's drowning. You drowning, man. You drowning, man. You can't even keep a bed on your face. Go ahead.
It says, hey, you still eating pork, man? You still eating shrimp? You still eating shrimp? It says, no. No? You eat butter? No. No, you shut up, man. It says, verse 17, wherefore, in all things, it behooved him to be made like unto his brethren.
It behooved him to be made like unto his brethren. Who was the Lord's brethren? The Israelites. All Israelites were brought to this planet by a man and a woman, an Israelite man and an Israelite woman having sex. That's how we were all brought here. We weren't all brought here magically. You know?
A fucking stork showed up with his dropped you off there.
You're a motherfucker. Right. We weren't sitting here in a capsule.
In a capsule like Dragon Ball Z.
He said, are we haters? Yes, we are haters, because the scriptures say, hate the evil, love the good. And we hate the evil, man. And you are a people.
You gotta go back over there.
Everybody jump up, man.
Right there. Aquí. Yeah, they're right there. Right there. Right there. See him?
I know, everybody. I got that. Okay, finish that, and then we're going to get that law.
So, hey, listen, brother, sir.
I remember this, brother, you wanted your edification on that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
All right, Hebrews 2:17. Wherefore, in all things, it behooved him to be made like unto his brethren, that he might be a merciful and faithful high priest in things pertaining to the Most High, to make reconciliation for the sins of the people. For in that he himself has suffered being tempted, he is able
For that he himself has suffered, being tempted.
Right.
Meaning he had to come in the same flesh we in and be tempted how we tempted. All right? That's simple, man.
he is able to secure them.
We've been out of loop. We've been out of loop. You still there. You can't do it. Go ahead, bro.
It says he is able to secure them that are tempted.
That's right. Meaning he's able to help us. The word succor means to help. All right? Because the Lord been through it. The Lord been through the temptation. He sweat blood. That's how heavy his temptation was. How many of y'all ever sweat blood? Yo, if he was an angel, he wouldn't even sweat. He wouldn't even be zapped, you know? He wouldn't be able to catch him. He wouldn't be able to sleep. He wouldn't be able to feel pain. Yeah, go ahead. Just real quick, precept. This is John 1:45. New Testament. John 1:45, it says, Philip findeth Nathanael and saith unto him, we have found him, of whom Moses in the law and the prophets did write, Yahushua of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. The reason I brought that out, because when you go into the Greek word for son, it's a huos, right? And it says, generally used of the offspring of men, or one born of a father and a mother. Simple. That's why we break down words, so you know.
And you know why he's trying to go to Luke? Because Mary said, how can this be? Because I know not a man.
Yeah. But you know why? Because that's not in order. That's not chronological order.
He wasn't in order at all.
Not at all. Spirit of the Lord. Yeah. But that was first. Yeah, that was 6 months. Luke was first, man. All right. Matthew, because Esau put it in there because the average mind think you're supposed to read a book like that. You know, right to left, and it's all in order. Well, you don't read the Bible that way. The Bible tell you in Isaiah 28, for precept must be upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. And first and foremost, the Spirit of the Lord got to give it to you. You know?
She probably said that because she was scared. She probably got put to death, man. The angel appearing like, holy shit. You know?
Yeah, and it said that the Spirit come together in order to have how it happen.
Go ahead. Want us to read it for you? All right, Luke chapter 1, verse 26. And in the 6th month, angel Gabriel was sent from the Most High unto the city of Galilee, named Nazareth, to a virgin espoused to a man whose name was Joseph. And the angel of the Lord came in unto her and said, Hail thou art highly favored, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. And when she saw him, she was troubled at his saying, and cast in her mind what manner of salutation this should be. And the angel said to her, Fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with the Most High. And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb, and bring forth a son, and shalt call his name Jesus.
Or
Yahushua. Right? He shall be great, and shall be called the Son of the Highest. And the Lord God shall give unto him the throne of his father David. And he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there shall be no end.
So the angel basically came. Hold on, I gotta break it down to the brother. Keep going, break it down. So the angel came to her and let her know what was getting ready to happen. That's what he came to tell her. Because what does the word angel mean? Messenger. He came to give her a message. All right? He didn't come to lay down with her. He came to give her a message. What was getting ready to happen? All right? Go ahead.
Hey, so slack you on that, man. I messed that corner. All right? Then said Mary unto the angel, How shall this be, seeing I know not a man?
Why did she say that? Because Joseph hadn't went up there yet. Right? Now when you go to Matthew, give me the same account of Matthew. All right? Because the angel went to her first. Then went to Joseph. All right?
Yeah, that was a whole breakdown. The angel, the apostles, they changed it.
Go ahead. Where we at? The one in Matthew. The same account. When the angel came to Joseph.
All right, it's Matthew chapter 1, verse 20. It says, But while he thought on these things, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a dream, saying, Joseph.
See, the angel came to him in a dream. Right. Matter of fact, read up a little bit more.
All right, verse 18. Now the birth of Yahushua HaMashiach was on this wise, when as his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph, before they came together.
Right. Before the ceremony, Joseph had already did what he did.
Right.
She was when you espouse in the ancient world, there was arranged marriages. There was an agreement between Mary's father and Joseph's father. Look, when your daughter come of age, I'm going. She's promised to your son Joseph, and that was already an agreement. All right. That's how marriages were arranged in the ancient world.
And the proof that she was a virgin was after at the ceremony, after they did what they had to do, the woman would come out with a white sheet and have the blood.
She would have the token to her virginity.
They had sex already.
Go.
It says, when as his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Ghost.
So before the actual festival, before they came together for the festival, she was already pregnant. Now was she showing? No, she wasn't fully pregnant, because all it takes is one time for a man to have sex with a woman, and the seed fertilizes the egg. All right. So before the festival happened, the actual marriage, she was already pregnant. All right. She was already pregnant by Joseph with Yahushua. That's what made it the Holy Spirit. It's because the spirit that was put inside of her by Joseph, the sperm was gonna be Yahweh Shai, which was the Holy Spirit. Right. It don't mean the Holy Spirit like some invisible force came and lifted the blanket off of Mary and swam up in her. That don't mean that. That's Greek mythology.
And not only that, bro, that would be a sin because she was already engaged to Joyce.
And the angels don't break laws. That's Roman Catholic BS, man. That's Roman Catholic dogma.
That's right.
Yeah, angels do crack heads, man. So you better be careful.
Virgin shall conceive, right?
Where we at? Go back to Matthew.
It says,
Now, and then get that law.
verse 19.
Now, this is Joseph. Remember, he was dreaming. All right? The angel actually went to Mary.
Skip the angel.
Go ahead.
Then Joseph, her husband, being a just man and not willing to make her a public example,
Joseph was a just man. All right? And not willing to make her a public example. Let's go to the law. Because if your daughter was caught playing the harlot, all right, in the ancient world, say like I got a daughter. My daughter's a virgin. You know, we gonna do business. She gonna marry your son. We're gonna have a party. Because when you look it up in the Bible dictionary, when our families came together, the party lasted 2 weeks, and that's when the actual sex was supposed to happen. And then the man will come out with the tokens of the virginity.
I got it.
Come out with the rag. All right?
I got it.
With the tokens of the virginity. All right.
They show you that on Game of Thrones where they're like, everyone has feasted. You have my son and your daughter, and they said, let us consummate the marriage, and they go in that chamber.
That's how it was done. Everybody partying, everybody eating, drinking, whole families together, cousins, all that. You know how Jake do. You know? It's order. Now everybody was done, everybody was full of wine. They went in there and they consummated the marriage, made it official. That's right. And what makes the marriage official? Sex.
Right.
All right?
I got it.
That's why going back to the book of Genesis, a man shall leave his mother and his father and cleave unto his wife, and they shall be what? One flesh. How do they become one flesh? Through sex. All right? These people are crazy out here, man. It's not rocket science. It's not. It's simple.
I got it.
Let's read. Now we're gonna read the law. Why he said what he said. He didn't want to make her a public example. He was just because he knew he was the one that took her virginity already. That's what means he was just. All right, because it would have been a stoning going down. All right, would have been punished. She would have been punished, and he wouldn't have been punished. Okay.
So can I say this? We read earlier that he's from the tribe of Judah, so just off of that right there, angels are not from no tribes. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, dude don't. He ain't swimming. He's drowning.
Hey, that's a good point.
Yeah, right.
This is Deuteronomy 22 and 21. It's the law on if your daughter plays the harlot. Like really plays the harlot, not like, you know.
Right, have been playing the harlot is her having sex outside of what her father had arranged for her. All right? So, really, all these women play the harlot. But back then, we had order. There was law. And there were consequences if you broke it. All right? There were consequences. It was many. You had many stonings of young women who went and played the harlot in their father's house. Because why? That's a shame to the father. That's a shame on you. You know, you didn't promise this man your daughter, and she was a virgin. But then when they go up in there, he come out like, man, that wasn't no virgin. You know?
Ain't like on a Black Night.
With Martin Lawrence.
Yeah.
Martin Lawrence.
He's like,
somebody got to that flower well before I did. Your daughter's a friend, you know.
It says, I'll start at verse 20. It says, this Deuteronomy 22 and 20, it says, but if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel.
Matter of fact, read up above it. Get all that
the going into like the dude, if you find out she ain't a virgin, you want to get all that?
Yeah, get all that meat.
God, this is Deuteronomy 22 and 16.
And this show you how specific the Most High is, man.
Yeah.
So Israel, they had no excuse. You know, he to the law on how you supposed to react with one another, man.
Can I bring
Go ahead.
about the show?
Yeah.
18 and all that, 17. So it seems like the age just went up this time.
Right.
Because the maturity level of women back then were way more higher. And they were taught to actually be actual women back
Right. From when they were young girls, from when they were able to pick up a rag and clean something. They were taught to serve to their husband and to do housely duties. What's up, bro? What you taking with stuff? What's happening?
Just y'all just supporting, bro.
How you support? Where you putting that at?
I would add it to like a music video, probably.
A music video? What type of music video?
I'm a conscious artist, bro. I just promote, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, what are we doing out here?
It's like y'all promoting a conscious message.
Yeah, we promoting the Bible.
Okay, that's
Promoting
what's
the
up.
Bible.
It's truth in the
Promoting the
Bible.
Bible. There's nothing but truth in it. I just want to make sure you make sure.
Yeah.
You know what you know, man. Cause don't just put us in a video and show us and you rapping about some crazy shit.
No.
You know, don't do that shit, man.
Not that, man. I'm trying to wake my people up, man. Get them closer to
If
the
you
Most
rapping
High.
about the Bible, put us in there.
I am.
If you rapping about the Bible,
I am.
hit me with something.
Blessed beats. All of this was meant to be called a divine order. I'm a son of God, just signing for my father. Can't nobody turn on the brightness of my aura. If you don't like taking the light, then I might bore you. If she stay down till I come up, I might spoil her. My kundalini energy spiraling like a coil. Another tree of life is rising above the soil. I love growth. Nope, I'm not the same person, but I love both. And so do she, but the old me was sound asleep.
Who's the she?
Huh?
Who's she?
That was dope.
Who's the she?
She is any woman who don't understand, you know what I'm saying, that the old me was sleeping, now I'm wide awake.
Oh, so you say you rapping the woman?
No, I'm just saying, like, I love the old me, and so does she.
Okay, but now that you a new man, she really ain't dealing with it.
She got to get hip to that now. You know what I'm saying?